This is a Locked On Big 12 emergency podcast. Jimmori Robinson will be out for Saturday's game against Robert Morris, in a game we will preview here live on Locked On West Virginia. We react now.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host, and this is Locked On West Virginia, baby. We're talking about the West Virginia Mountaineers again today on the football side of things, and an unfortunate bit of news coming down the pike. As we heard in Rich Rod's press conference today, Jimmori Robinson still not practicing with the team. What does that mean? We're going to get into it, but we have to get to the ads first, of course, guys. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. Right now with FanDuel, the football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. Got a special guest that's going to react to this in real time with me. We'd initially planned this for a Robert Morris preview, but with the Robinson news, that kind of trumps, in my opinion, the preview episode. So we're going to do both here simultaneously. Got to bring on my buddy Craig. How are we doing, Craig? He covers the NEC conference as a whole. I saw an interview with Coach Bernard Clark and yourself, and it was a really good episode. Very well spoken, both of you. Welcome to the show, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mountaineer Paul. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm glad you got to see the interview and you enjoyed it. It's always fun talking with Coach Clark. He's one of those old guys, played on the U for all those teams in the late 80s, when they were causing trouble down there in Miami. So he's a fun guy. He's a really good coach too. Yeah.
Fiery guy. I really like him. I feel like he's on the rise. What is the overall, and we'll get to the Robinson news here in just a second, but what's the overall feel about a guy like Coach Bernard Clark? Do you feel like he's a coach on the rise?
I do, which is funny to say because he's been around. I mean, this is his 7th year, I believe, as head coach. So he's kind of been around, but he certainly commands a room. He's a presence. Guys gravitate towards him. They want to play hard for him. And he definitely gets the best out of his roster. That's for sure.
So unfortunately, and we're going to kind of catch you up on this as when we do in real time, West Virginia will be out without its crowning jewel. It's looking like, at least if I have this right, and if not, I'll change it later. As far as I understand, there's a 5-day acclimation period in which you have to go from shorts to spider pads to shirt and to helmet, shoulder pads, the whole thing, per the rules. And Jimmori Robinson not being at practice today because we play Saturday would be, this is the threshold. If you can't practice by today, and as far as I'm understanding, he will not be able to play Saturday. Rich Rodriguez, in a press conference about 45 minutes ago, confirmed still no confirmation on the edge rushing bandit, who West Virginia very, very much needs, unfortunately. Now, in a game like this against Robert Morris, where they should win, maybe not as a big a deal. Obviously, you want to get as many snaps as you can get for a guy. But, Craig, obviously, this is good news for Robert Morris if you're looking at it from their perspective.
It's certainly one little piece of good news. It's a big day news-wise. Jimmori Robinson, Taylor Swift getting engaged. There's a lot of news going on right now. But for Robinson's case, I would imagine for West Virginia, the eyes are on that Pitt game in 2 weeks. So if he could get himself straightened out and ready for that, I'm sure that's kind of where the attention is right now, I would think.
And think about, I think, if you're Rich Rodriguez, if you're going to spin this one way, maybe you keep your crowning jewel out for the first 2 weeks, and then you have Pitt wondering, is he going to play? Is he not? You make him play, because Jimmori Robinson is a game wrecker. He's a guy that would have commanded, had he not had this eligibility issue, just a major money in the portal. Most people would liken him to a David Bailey from Stanford that transferred to Texas Tech for all the money he got. Obviously he was the American Conference Defensive Player of the Year. 10.5 sacks over 90 quarterback pressures he had last year. So you're talking about an elite edge rusher at 6'5", 250 pounds that you can't replace. There's no way to replace a guy like that. And by my tape study, the best edge rusher that West Virginia would have had since Bruce Irvin, which was a while back now, a decade or so. So obviously this is a major piece. Now, West Virginia has a ton of other pass rushers that they've added through the portal this year in the Zach Alley defense, but this is a loss. It's not no forever, y'all. It's just no for right now. And it is a loss, though. So unfortunately for us in West Virginia, we're not going to be with Robinson, but all is not over with. This West Virginia defense still has plenty to offer. So we'll be looking forward to that. How do you feel like, because before we get into the actual preview of the team, we'll do that in the next segment. How many players has Robert Morris brought in, or Bobby Moe, as people I like to call him now? Bobby Moe.
Bobby Moe
thing, man.
Let's go, Bobby Moe. Well, I think, Paul, that's the big storyline for the Robert Morris team this year, is that there's so much changeover
More than
from
West
last
Virginia.
year. I don't know what West Virginia's numbers are, but Robert Morris is almost
70s.
like a completely new team. I don't know if it's that high, but it's a significant amount of turnover from a year ago. In that interview you talked about with Coach Clark, we ran through like every position.
Like
and he's
6
like,
deep.
We're excited to see. We lost guys, but we're excited to see. We lost guys. We're excited. Like, they know as much as we know. So we're going to find out on Saturday. But I think that's the big storyline for Robert Morris. When they put all these new pieces together, how do they look?
And you know, one of the things I heard him talking about was they lost, I think, their top 6 receivers. Is that right? Is that what he said?
Yeah, they lost Noah Robinson, which was their top wide receiver. He transferred at a 70 reception season a year ago. I believe the 3 other guys after him on the depth chart are all gone too. Their leading receiver now might be Tyler Evans, a former West Virginia player that transferred. Now might be the number 1 target.
What an oddity that would be.
So yeah, definitely at both wide receiver, running back, the skill positions, a lot of changeover, a lot of big talent lost from last year.
Well, let's dive a little deeper into that on the next segment, Craig. We'll talk a little bit about next who might start for West Virginia, who they think may run out there for Robert Morris. We'll take some best guesses. I know there's not a ton of answers out there for either side, but I guess we'll do its best to put it together. And then we'll also try to put a prediction on this thing and see what this game is going to look like up next on Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by FanDuel again, guys. And we're talking about FanDuel for multiple reasons, but none bigger than what they've got going on now. Guys, August 26th is FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling for your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Look, I'm going to take a flyer on Aaron Rodgers this year. Call me a homer, call me a Steelers guy, whatever you want to say, I'm that guy. Maybe Travis Kelce's your guy. I don't know. Maybe he's going to have this insane season. Maybe that's your guy. Maybe you're going to crown Geno Smith and the Oakland Raiders your champion, right? Of course it's West Virginia related. This is Locked On West Virginia. Or you can just parlay your division winner dark horses. Whatever you want, do it today. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only in your life. Do it today at FanDuel, where you can play your game. And it's segment 2. Let's crack open a do as we talk to Craig, man, my dude. And what's your handle on X? What is it? CG13 or whatever it is?
At Craig CD13.
Yeah, I love that. This is a thing that I'm going to call it a West Virginia thing. It's like segment 2.
I wish I would have known. I would have brought him out.
You know what's funny is everybody says that. Everybody says that. I'm going to have to start telling people beforehand, man. Okay, so you got a podcast coming up on Thursday. Let's talk about that for a second, man. What do you got going on?
Yeah, it's our NEC Football on the Run pod. We always recap all the games from the previous week. We look ahead to the games the next week. We always have a student athlete that we bring on to talk to. This week, because it's the first one of the season on Thursday, as you mentioned, we're recapping everything since November, the last game that we played in the Northeast Conference. We're catching everybody up to speed. There's new rules in FCS this year. Our league added a new team. So we're just catching everybody up on things they may have missed in the offseason, especially all the moving and shaking within the rosters with the portal and all that. And then our guest this week is AJ Duffy, who's the quarterback for the New Haven Chargers, who's the newest team in the NEC. They play their first Division I game on Friday night. So we had a chance to chat with him. And then we're looking at it to all the games, including the West Virginia Robert Morris game. Pittsburgh plays Duquesne, who was the co-regular season champions in our league last year. So we give a little preview for all 9 NEC non-conference games coming up this week. So that comes out on Thursday, and we have one each week for the entire season.
You know, Craig, to be an FCS fan, you got to kind of be a college football sicko, right? I mean, that's what it takes, right? Do you consider yourself to be a college football sicko?
I think kind of by default, just because I followed it so hard and down in the weeds with for many years now. So I think by default I kind of fall in that category.
That's cool though, man. I enjoy it. If I had more time, I would. I record this show 7 days a week, 2 times a day. So I know what you mean by in the weeds. And I'm just for one team. I couldn't imagine for an entire conference like that. But man, what a fun thing that's got to be for you. I'm curious. I wonder if we got a spot for Locked On for the NAC. I don't know what your contracts are looking like, but maybe I'll holler at somebody. I'm honestly like,
please do.
I'll holler at my boss about it because we may not have an NAC guy. That'd be something cool to talk about with Locked On. All right, so Robert Morris, so Bobby Moe. Let's go, Bobby Moe. Even though I'm not rooting for him, I still love saying that. That's got to be one of the coolest chants that I haven't heard about, right?
Have you seen their mascot? Have you seen their mascot?
No.
Bobby Moe is a really cool mascot. So if you Google it, I mean, really like big head, Patriot.
Oh yeah, I think I have seen it now that you mention it. Hold on a second. Romo. Yep. Let me find out. Tony Romo. Oh my God. You gotta, if I were them, I would get a special guest from Tony Romo.
There you go. That's him.
Look at him, man. Redheaded. Was Robert Morris a redheaded guy or what?
I'm not sure. I know he signed the Declaration of Independence. That much I do know.
That's all we know. That's pretty good. It's pretty big stuff, though. Let's talk about the guys on the field, man. I've looked. There's an orb by almost every name that you can look for. They've got a quarterback battle going on right now. They've got a couple Power 5 bounce back guys. Take me through the roster if you can. Piece it together for me. If you can. I don't know if there's if the information's even available. Best you can, position by position.
Yeah, so here's what I gather so far. So first of all, before we even get there, it's an entirely new coaching staff. 6 new coaches, new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator. Up until a couple of weeks ago, Coach Clark was coaching the defensive line because there was no defensive line coach. They've since hired Sam Scott to coach the defensive line. So they're brand new coaching staff, first of all. Then when you get to the roster, at quarterback last year, they had Anthony Chickett, who had a great season the year prior in the Big South. Had a lot of high hopes coming into the NEC last year. Had a great start to the season, kind of fell off at the end. He transferred out. So now it's Zach Tanner, who's a redshirt junior from Florida. He's going to be stepping in. He saw time in about 8 games last year. He saw extended time in the finale once Robert Morris was already out of contention for the championship. He went 13 for 20, 286 yards, had an 86-yard touchdown pass. So he looked okay. We're going to now he's the guy. So we're going to see kind of how he's going to be as the starting quarterback. Then when you get to running back, you mentioned they lost running back, wide receiver, a lot of talent with the skill positions. Ty Edmonds, former leading rusher in the NEC with Merrimack. He got banged up a little bit at the end of last year when Robert Morris fell off. He's no longer there. So Coach Clark was telling me they have 3 guys. One of them is a guy to keep your eye on, a freshman from Florida, Xavier Goulbourne. He was the one that Coach pointed out to. They also have a transfer from UMass and Dante Wack. And a transfer from Eastern Michigan and Owen McGraw. Yeah. So how are they going to balance out the carries? Who's going to kind of step up? That's something that we're looking forward to seeing in the game on Saturday. We mentioned Tyler Evans from West Virginia with the wide receivers. And then tight end, Robert Morris doesn't have that many, all-conference or preseason all-conference selections. But one of the guys they do have is their tight end, Chaz Middleton, who had 7 catches for 80 yards, 2 touchdowns last year. He's a big red zone threat. The coaches are confident that he's going to take a step up this year in production. They voted him as a preseason all-conference selection. And then in the offensive line, they have a couple returning starters, but a couple guys were banged up during the spring. So how they came along and how they're going to mesh together the starting 5 on Saturday with the protection and making holes for the running game and all that remains to be seen. Again, a lot of fluidity, a lot of uncertainty on the offense. There's certainly potential there. And I think that's one thing that Robert Morris always had. There's always, respect the name Robert Morris. They're always a contending team in our conference. They were picked 3rd in the preseason poll this year. And then on the defensive side, again, don't really know what we're going to get on the defensive line. They lost a lot of people from last year. Linebacker was probably the position last year where they had the most depth. They lost a 100 tackle linebacker, but they still have some guys left. And then in the secondary, who's going to step up there? Special teams wise, they have out of the 9 all-conference performers from last year, the only one that's returning is their kicker. So they do have some pretty special teams. But again, how all these pieces come together, that remains to be seen.
For those asking in the comments, no, Craig is not a Robert Morris fan. He actually covers the conference as a whole. So he's like the Drake Toll of NEC, if you will. So he covers the conference. That's interesting. So I'm starting to gather a little bit more confidence. Obviously, West Virginia is talent. They've shuffled just as much talent in and out. But obviously, it's going to be at a higher level of talent across the board. Yeah. You would have to favor West Virginia in the game. Obviously, probably not going to be a game like we looked at. I remember a couple of years ago when watching a lot of the previews from Iowa State, or maybe it was it Iowa State when they were playing North Dakota State, or maybe it was Kansas State. I can't remember, but somebody was playing North Dakota State and they were really worried. That's not exactly the scenario here. I'm not saying that an upset can't happen. It absolutely can. And things happen in football. On the West Virginia side of things, you look at it, I mean, obviously you're in a quarterback battle that goes probably 3 deep, but most people would agree 2 deep. And most expect Nico Markell to start, but it may be Jalen Henderson. Obviously, Jaheim White, one of the best running backs in all college football. We're excited to have him. You've got 5 brand new starters on the offensive line. You've got, as far as I can tell, Craig, the deepest wide receiver room I've studied at West Virginia in a decade. They go at least 10 deep at the wide receiver. They're transfers mostly, but at the same time, they're all very talented players. But, West Virginia was lucky in that the house settlement happened. They were able to front load about $15 million, $16 million in and go buy some players, right? So, you couple that with the excitement of a Rich Rodriguez return, and I would venture to say for Robert Morris, unfortunately, that stadium is going to be rocking. Have you ever been to Morgantown for a game?
I have not. I've certainly seen it when back in the Big East days, and it certainly can be rocking for sure.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be, as I would imagine, because of the nature of the game being in the first game with Rich Rod back, you would have to guess that it's going to be one of the probably 5 best atmospheres of the year there, only because, Rich Rod, right? I mean, it's just such a big deal. 17 years. On the other side of the break, since you talked about the Big East, I think what I want to do, Craig, is I want to get your reaction to this whole thing. And then we'll do a game prediction, and we'll do a couple of things on that, some coaching keys. I'm curious, while I'm doing this ad read, tell me what you think about Rich Rodriguez coming back, the whole 9. how do you think that's going to go? And did you agree with the whole thing? We'll be right back. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by none other. Sorry about that. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Rouette. Guys, we're talking about Rouette on this one for multiple reasons. Obviously, we can't talk about Rouette without talking about being ready. If you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rouette Ready because it's a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, it's a 3-in-1 formula that dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, and you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rouette website for full safety information. All right, guys, we're back here at Locked On West Virginia in segment 3 with my buddy Craig CD13 on X. Is that right?
You got it.
All right. Before we go any further, guys, we do have an important request here. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started, and everyone who completes a survey will enter a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey, and you can also find the link in the show notes. All right, guys, we teased it on the early in portion of this last segment. Craig, man, you mentioned the early Big East days and what that was like for West Virginia. I'm curious, any thoughts on the Rich Rod hire?
I loved it. I mean, I go back to, when West Virginia was playing Rutgers for a chance to, go to a big bowl game, Rich Rod, Pat White, all those guys. So I think it's a great fit. I think you'll see it on Saturday. He brings great excitement to that community and to that fan base. And I'm sure West Virginia is happy. I mean, I remember his press conference when he came back. They had the whole gym there packed. So I'm sure it's through the roof down there in Morgantown.
Yeah, McAfee was there the whole nine. They had a Pitt fan heckling people. Yeah, it was a wild situation for sure, dude. As you can see here, the West Virginia roster is just absolutely packed full of dudes. Like, if I go through this roster right here, Craig, it's wild, man. Literally every single guy you come to is a transfer. Over 50 transfers coming in, and that's not counting the dozen or so high school recruits, a couple JUCO guys. It's one of the largest classes in the country, rated as high as number 7 in the country as a class at times. I'm going to roll through a couple guys I think on this roster are going to make the biggest impact in this game for West Virginia. One important note is the other 3 players in the settlement have been practicing. So that means Ty Edwards, the 6'2", 225-pound running back that runs 21 miles an hour, will be playing in this game. That's a massive deal. A massive deal, guys. Immediately he becomes, in my opinion, this is just my opinion now that I know he's going to be playing, I think he's got sneaky all Big 12 potential. Love that dude. Think he's going to be a big part of this offense. Obviously, Jaheim White is back. He's the scatterback. He's the jitterbug. He's going to make this offense go. Going to be a major impact player. You got to talk about the running backs in a Rich Rod offense, right? So obviously those 2 guys are going to be something to watch. Whoever starts at quarterback, I don't really, whether it's Nico, we know they're both going to play. So we're going to have 2 quarterbacks, most likely, possibly 3. I'd say Max Brown probably gets a few snaps as well. And we'll see what happens there. But, whoever plays the quarterback, I think they're going to put up some numbers, whoever it is. I'm looking at the running backs in this situation. And then, obviously at receiver, you got to look at Cam Vaughn. Obviously, last year as a redshirt freshman, 800 yards, 50 catches at Jack State on a Conference USA winning football team. Conference champions. They were really good. A bunch of Jacksonville State players have come over with Rich Rod, and I think will help with the continuity on this team. Over on the defensive side of the ball, no Jimmori Robinson. He would have been the easy pick. So you've got to go with the next best thing, and it's not far off from a guy like Jimmori Robinson, and we're excited about it just as well. And Michael Coach Jr., who, as you know, people will let people. I mean, West Virginia had to, and this is something I confirmed independently. West Virginia had to basically pay him to not go to Ole Miss on visit. Like it was that he was about to go there. He's been graded as the number one corner in the portal by multiple different people. Definitely a top 2 or 3 guy in the portal. Probably an NFL future. I think he impacts this game in multiple ways, along with Fred Perry, who I just have the highest of aspirations for. Fred Perry, obviously an all-conference player last year at Jack State at Rich Rod and them. Zach Alley comes in as defensive coordinator from Oklahoma, which is a huge get. West Virginia paid $2 million for this guy who, I mean, it's just an insane amount of money for a D coordinator, Craig. So I think it's going to be a combination of things. I think it's going to be it's either going to be a blowout real fast or it's going to be ugly early. And I can't figure out which one. The weather is going to be good. What are some coaching keys you had for Robert Morris? What do you think needs to happen for him to be in this game, even though West Virginia has all the newness?
Well, like you say, if we do talent versus talent, West Virginia, has it by far. But I think the intrigue is in these week 1 games, especially with all the turnover on both sides, like we talked about. Like Robert Morris can't go back and watch West Virginia tape from last year. That wouldn't help them. Virginia can't go watch Robert Morris tape from last year. That won't help them. So it's which team's going to come out of the blocks efficient, quick first, has all their routes ready, running, has the communication figured out. Everybody's on the same page. The whole operation is running smoothly. If one team could come out of the chute like that, I mean, that might be Robert Morris's chance to come out of the chute, so efficient. So I think for a key, that would be it for Robert Morris. Come out efficient. Obviously, no turnovers, penalties, dumb things like that usually happen in an opener when it's the first time and your unit hasn't fully gelled yet. If they can avoid that, I think they can compete and be in the game. So I think that would be the big key. And fascinating for me always in these openers. Again, you can't go back and watch tape. The preparation is would be different than any other week. So if there was ever a week for Robert Morris to maybe pull one off, it is this week. All the hoopla, all the excitement, maybe you catch West Virginia off guard. Looking
ahead,
that's your chance. That if you are going to have a chance, that's your chance. Well, we'll see if it develops or not, but that would be the chance.
West Virginia, who West Virginia plays in week 2?
Who do they play week 2?
Ohio University.
Ohio, and then it's Pitt.
Yeah, Ohio has won 3 straight double-digit winning seasons. I mean, that's incredibly impressive. I don't care at what level. I mean, but at the Division I level, if you have 10 or 3 straight 10-win seasons, I don't care how much turnover you've got. If you've got any continuity left, they lost their coach. So that helps me in confidence a little bit. But they promoted a guy from within, for what I understand. And they kept some of that continuity. That's, we've seen it with different organizations, places that are successful just for whatever reason. It's like Rim Baker says, when you see a place like a Boise State or like a Troy or like teams like that are always successful, he says coaches win games, but organizations win championships, right? And I believe that. I do believe that, because if you've got the right people at the top, no matter who you hire, the vision's going to stay pretty similarly the same. So interesting. Are people making you laugh in the chat?
Yeah, I didn't say they had a chance. I think they're going to lose by like 4 touchdowns. But if there is a chance, that would be it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that they overreact sometimes in there. It's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, here's my coaching keys. Don't turn the football over. The only way Robert Morris is in this game is if you turn the football over, right?
Yep.
That's it. Get behind the chains, do what Rich Rod, and look, this is all 5 new starters on the offensive line, so you could have some 3-and-outs. You can't compound that with turning the football over, right? You want to go fast. You want to wear this team down that has nowhere near the depth you have. This game can be over by halftime if you do it right. No offense to Robert Morris. Don't let him stay in the game. Don't give him any life at all. Obviously West Virginia and historically has never lost to an FCS team. I think we're 28-0 all time or whatever it is. I don't see that changing Saturday. Get us catching ahead to Ohio. Maybe it can get competitive, at some points. Maybe Robert Morris keeps it within 10 or 12 points at certain points. I mean, I could see that, but I would be totally shocked if this game were close in the fourth quarter. I've been wrong before, Craig, but I think the Mountaineers win this game 55-14.
I'm with you. I think the first half, maybe first quarter, getting close towards halftime, we're looking around like, oh, why is this game so close? And it might be because of a turnover or Robert Morris coming out fast, like we talked about. But I think after halftime, West Virginia their talent plays out. They just put the foot on the gas and take off, and probably a score closer to what you said. I think it's maybe 6-point, 7-point game at halftime, and then West Virginia kind of takes off from there.
Very well could be that. Yeah. For the depth of the team, I wouldn't mind it being close to a quarter and a half, just so that they can all get some time against the ones or with the ones. We just have so much we need to – if this team is going to compete in year one, and we all know that's where West Virginia is in a weird spot where they're kind of in that Arizona State spot from last year. You're picked close to last. Can you overcome that? Obviously a bunch of new players, first year coach, it's a lot of similarities. Some people like to compare us to Indiana. I don't know if it's a great comparison because obviously he brought a bunch of dudes over from James Madison. Not as many guys came over with Rich Rod. I think he had 10 or 12 guys come over from James Madison, and 8 of those guys ended up being all-conference players for him. That's going to be really hard to replicate for West Virginia. I think as many as 3 or 4 could be, but I don't know about 8. So it's going to be wild, but I like the Mountaineers in this one, Craig. Appreciate you for coming on, man. Any other things that you think are important to mention here?
First of all, thank you for having me on. It's always great to talk Robert Morris football. Introduce a little bit about Robert Morris to your audience for the game coming up this weekend. But the NEC Football on the Run podcast comes out on Thursday, wherever you get your podcast. And I know Robert Morris and West Virginia, they play each other again in 2029. So maybe we could do this again in a couple of years.
Sounds fun, man. That sounds fun. That would be really fun to do. Oh, gosh. 2029, huh? That's not bad.
They have schedules out until the 2030s. Maybe.
All right, man. Hey, guys, make sure you follow Craig over at CD13 over on X. Does an excellent job covering the NEC. And if you're a football sicko, why not follow him anyway? I agree with what a lot of you guys are saying. I think the West Virginia defense will be a key in this game. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be Zach Alley. Here's how good Zach Alley is, Craig. He took over Brent Venables' defense and raised it in almost every category 30 spots. Rich Rodriguez sacrificed a lot to bring him in. I think he's the key to the season, much less this game. So let's see what West Virginia looks like. I think they're going to have some turnovers and stuff. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. Hope you enjoy it, Craig. Guys, make sure you like the video before you leave. Subscribe if you're new around here. And absolutely, positively, don't forget to check out his podcast. NEC on the Run starts Thursday. I think Locked On Portal is something that's underrated, guys. We talk about going over there and seeing them, but really go check out Locked On Portal. Make sure you see him next. He does an excellent job over there, and I would not be promoting him if I didn't believe that. So my guy over there, Brian Smith, does just a wonderful job at Locked On Portal. See him over there. Craig, thanks for coming on, man. And Hey, if something crazy happens, maybe we can do a post game even after the game. You never know, right?
We'll see. We'll see.
Hopefully, we don't have any Appalachian State kind of situations, but if so, might have to bring you on just to cope.
That would certainly make our year in the Northeast Conference.
For sure. National champs. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. We obviously have a lot to get to today. West Virginia, Alabama, no longer happening. We will talk about that here in a little bit. Until then, we're out.